Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over the Washington football team's top 5 offseason priorities for the 2022 NFL offseason. I'll go over the draft, free agency, and even some coaching moves. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, and hit that like button and turn on those notifications. It really does help out the channel. And also go ahead and follow my Twitter. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. Now let's get right into the video. So this is obviously a huge offseason for the Washington football team. There's a bunch of different things they need to do this year. And like Ron said, I mean, this is the year to take the big step. And he's setting some expectations for himself and the team. So let's see if they're able to do it. They're heading into Ron's third offseason as the coach of this football team. Right now, this cap number is a little bit off, but they have around $54 million in cap space. That is not including the Charles Leno deal, and that puts them at 4th in the NFL. So they're in a really good cap situation, and if they really wanted to, there's a bunch of deals they could restructure, or, they could cut some players to get, some cap space. Landon Collins is a candidate. I really like how he's been playing at that linebacker, hybrid position, but maybe they like to move on from him, or even better, maybe they want to restructure his contract, take a little bit less of a cap hit for Washington, and maybe they'll keep him around. That's a situation because he's our number one cap hit this, in the 2022 season. And he's obviously not our number one player, not even a top 5 player. So that's something that they could consider doing, restructuring there. But now let's get into the top 5 offseason priorities for the Washington football team. And this list has no order, but let's start off with the first priority, and that is extending wide receiver Terry McLaurin. They need to do whatever it takes to make sure Terry McLaurin is extended and here for a long time. And, really they need to do it this offseason because Terry McLaurin's stats do not reflect the type of player he is and how good of a wide receiver he is. His stats are not the stats of a top 12, top 10 receiver, which I think he's in that range. He's around there, but his stats don't show that because he doesn't have good quarterback play, not even close to consistent quarterback play, so it really hurts him. And if it might be tough to re-sign him this offseason, but if Washington waits and let's say they do get a good quarterback this offseason and McLaurin goes and balls out, his contract is going to be much more expensive. I think Washington did great this past offseason with Jonathan Allen. They signed him a year earlier than his contract was up for, and they saved so much money because he had a Pro Bowl year, probably going to be a first team or second team all pro guys. So they did great on that. But if they would have waited, they would have probably had to give him $2 to $5 more million every single year. And I think the same thing could be said with McLaurin if he does have an amazing year next year. And I think it makes sense for both sides. You want to lock down your number one receiver, one of the better receivers in the NFL, a great leader, a great guy. And for McLaurin, getting this deal done before he has to play another NFL snap, and he is older than most people, most NFL players coming out of their first contract, getting paid before taking a snap next year is some good security for him. Getting paid around $20 million a year, which is what I think it's going to take to get him. I know a lot of people, when I say that, might be like, wow, that is crazy. I did not think it was going to be anywhere near that. I think it's going to be around 20, in that range, 18 to 22 million, just because the cap obviously is going up significantly from what it was last year. Kenny Galladay got 18 last year, and it was a bad wide receiver market. Devontae Adams is going to get paid this offseason. He's going to get 25, 26 million. Amari Cooper a couple years ago got paid 20 million a year. And, I think McLaurin is, I don't know. He's in that range. So, and obviously 2 years ago, the cap is lower than it is now, or it's going to be this year. So I think it's going to be a lot of money, but I think you pay it for the player you have, the leader you have, and I think it works for both parties. Don't wait a year and cost yourself a lot of money. And yeah, that's definitely a big priority for them. And I do think they're going to get it done. I hope they get it done before free agency, just so, obviously I want to get it done early, make us feel better about, knowing we're going to have this guy locked down for the future. But also, there's a lot of kind of big name guys going into free agency this offseason. Davante Adams might be a free agent depending on if they franchise tag him. Chris Godwin, Mike Williams. So, Mike Williams won't reset the wide receiver market, but Davante Adams and Chris Godwin definitely might. So that might even, get the price even higher. So let's get McLaurin locked down this offseason. Next priority is we have to find a middle linebacker, a true middle linebacker. We've known this for a while, and they've known it for most of the season that Jamin Davis they don't think he's going to be a middle linebacker, and that's disappointing because that's what they picked him to do. So it shows their evaluation on him was not correct. Even if he turns out to be a good player, it wasn't the right evaluation because they thought he would translate to a middle linebacker in the NFL. So, they don't have a middle linebacker right now. John Bostic is their middle linebacker, and I'm fine with John Bostic bringing him back. He's definitely better than David Mayo in my opinion. He's not good though, and I would not want him as a starter. So with Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb, Cole Holcomb, he can play middle linebacker, but he is better suited for the outside. He played his best this year when he was on the outside. And, when he was in the middle, he struggled a little bit. And I really like him on the outside. And if you have Jamin Davis on the outside as well, you're not going to be able to play three. They don't really play two outside linebackers that much on the field at the same time. And they're gonna need a middle linebacker. And I think they're going to do it in free agency. That's what John Kine's been saying a lot, that they want a veteran, someone who knows how to call a defense. There's a few guys out there. Quan Alexander, I believe, might be a free agent. Leighton Vander Esch, who's played better down the stretch. And, there's some guys via trade. I can't remember the Falcons linebacker, forgot his name, really hard name to pronounce. He's another option. So, Washington could get one in free agency. Doesn't have to break the bank, but just get a solid guy to lock down the middle. And then you can have Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb on the outside. But, I think they will try to get a veteran versus going after and, drafting someone like Nakobe Dean, who was obviously great linebacker at Georgia. But I think they prefer a veteran linebacker over a rookie, because then you have rookie Jamin Davis in the linebacker room. You have Cole Holcomb, who is going to be in his fourth year but still young, and then Khaleke Hudson. That's just too young of a group, too inexperienced of a group. I think they'll go after a veteran. So the next priority this offseason, and it's kind of specific, but I don't want to see, just like KB here said on Twitter, I don't want to see Sam Mills, the third back here on this coaching staff. I don't like what he's done with the defensive line. They still have played good, but underperformed a little bit, and something seems off with that group. There seems to be a disconnect with that, with Sam Mills. So I would like to go, try to get someone else. Ron Rivera in his press conference, they were asking him about, do you anticipate any staff changes? And I think he said, we're not going to be talking about that right now. So that's not no. So there's a chance that Washington could go after another guy. And I definitely would not mind going after someone else, because Sam Mills, in my opinion, does not suit this defensive line well. And that's really the only coaching change that I'm adamant about that I really think should happen. Maybe Steve Russ, the linebackers coach, could go. We haven't really seen good, great development with the linebackers, especially Jamin Davis. And, the coordinators, I really was a fan of Scott Turner, coming into this past season, and especially, up until after that, Raiders game. After that, though, I kind of soured on him a little bit. Still like him. I would be fine either way, keeping him or not, but I do think they will keep him, and I'm fine with that. Give him another year. Give him a chance to, actually have a quarterback, see what he can do with that, and if he can't do anything with that, then you obviously next year have to, cut bait and go to someone else, someone maybe you don't have a connection to. And Jack Del Rio, he's going to likely be back. And, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Del Rio. Not a huge fan. I think he took, him and Rivera, but, he is the defensive coordinator, took too long to make adjustments on the defensive side of the football that we as fans were clamoring for a while, like having Cameron Curl on the field more, moving Landon Collins to linebacker. I mean, we were saying that for a long, long time, and it took him like 4 or 5 weeks to really do so. But Sam Mills is the one I think they definitely should move on from. I'm fine if they make some other, minor changes. Next one, this one's obvious, so I'm not going to get into it too much because we all know, but the Washington football team, they need to go all in on a quarterback this offseason. And it's not even like they should try to go all in and get one of the big name veterans, in my opinion at least, like, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, if he is cleared. Aaron Rodgers, that's the biggest long shot ever, but if he does get available, don't think he's going to come here, and I don't think he's going to be available. But, some of those other guys, try to do whatever it takes, give an offer for Derek Carr if he's available. Try to get those guys, but whatever you do, don't, get someone else in this room that has some potential. I don't want to come in here with, Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, and Mitch Trubisky. That is 100% a wasted year. If that is what happens next year, that next year is a wasted year, in my opinion. At the very least, if you're gonna do something with like Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Andy Dalton, any of those guys who I'm not a huge fan of, you better be drafting a quarterback somewhat early, first 3 rounds if you're going to do that. My preferred option, obviously, is going after a big name veteran. That's the number one thing. If you can't get those guys, then maybe what you can do is still get a veteran. Maybe you could go. I know people are going to laugh at me and comment down below that I'm crazy, but someone like Jameis Winston or Jimmy Garoppolo as a bridge. But the only way I'm doing, signing one of those two guys or trading, I guess, for Jimmy G, but I wouldn't really trade for him, is if I draft the guy in the first round. I think that would be a good, the best of two worlds. You're still able to win. I think you can win with Jameis Winston and with Jimmy Garoppolo, but you're also able to develop your young first round rookie and have him ready for whenever he's ready to play. I think that's the best of two worlds right there. And that's what I would prefer them to do. Or go ahead, don't really sign a veteran. Maybe you do, but your primary guy is a rookie that you draft in the first round in the top 11. I'm fine with any of those options, just not with bringing back this same room and throwing in a random veteran like, Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota. Even if it was Jameis Winston, I like Jameis Winston. I think we could win, 8 to 10 games, maybe even 11 games at the very best if we make some other moves with Jameis Winston. But there's really no sustained success there. He's not going to be a franchise quarterback. So if you bring someone like him in, you got to also bring in a rookie. Those are my thoughts right there. So the last one, I kind of, had a tough time because I'm pretty, I feel strongly about those first 4. But this one, not so much. But I think the Washington football team does need to add another weapon on offense. I feel like, obviously the thing that is holding them back is the quarterback position. They do have a solid offensive line. I think they ranked like 6th on PFF and 9th on ESPN. I mean, they've got a good offensive line, and they were one of the most injured units in the league and still ranked really highly. I feel good about them. I feel really good about our tight end group as long as Logan Thomas is good to go, which all reports are saying he is. And then the biggest issue is our wide receiver room and maybe a little bit of our running back room. I feel good about Gibson, and if we can bring McKissick back, I'm also good with that. The only thing with the running back room, maybe you add in another guy that can take some carries away from Gibson just so he doesn't have a huge workload on him, so he's able to get that, through that 17-game season. And I think you can easily do that in the draft, like a 4th round guy, 5th round guy. So many guys like that that end up being really good running backs that you draft in a late round, or you could get someone like Ronald Jones for cheap. Those are options right there. And another guy, position that I think is somewhat lacking is receiver. The talent is there. Terry, great receiver. Curtis Samuel, when he was healthy, before he came to Washington, of course, he was good, and he was super young. The last season that he played, which was, 2020, he had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, and every single year it was going up. So didn't really get to play this year, and if he's healthy, I think he'll be good for us. But that's the key thing. If he's healthy, and we can't bank on that. We can't bank on De'Ami Brown, balling out next year. So I think bringing in a veteran or a draft pick, either one, but it has to be, if you're bringing a draft pick, it has to be an early draft pick. Veteran, it could be someone not so, young. It could be someone like Christian. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be like a big name guy like Devontae Adams. That's more what I was meaning to say. But Christian Kirk would be an option. Jacoby Myers, someone that is going to get you in that 500 to 750 yard range. And I think Christian Kirk can do that. Jacoby Myers could do that. Some of these other guys, one of the guys I really, really like after watching him, Cedric Wilson on the Cowboys. He's been a beast this year for them. He has 600 total yards, 6 touchdowns. He also has some rushing yards as well. I like him, but obviously he's not a guy that you can bank on. But I think they do need to add another weapon on offense. So those were the 5 offseason priorities for the Washington football team. I'm probably missing some, so let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think. What are your biggest offseason priorities? So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button, turn on those notifications if you did, and subscribe if you guys are new. Peace.